Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Nighttime Podcast's weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here, my name is Jordan Bonaparte, and in Keep Canada Weird, my pal Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore all the weird news stories that played out across Canada over the past week. In tonight's episode, which we recorded on April 23rd of 2024, we're going to hear about the latest misstep in the clumsy story of Canadian coffee giant Tim Hortons. We're going to discuss the strange case of the wrong body being flown from Cuba into Quebec, and we'll weigh in on the movement to make May 12th steal from Loblaw's Day. So let's get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport, I am happy to be here with you tonight. How are you, my friend?
I too am happy to be here with you.
Let's be a little formal. Let's not be too sassy right off the tip. We have a lot of new people tuning in to Keep Canada Weird tonight. I was invited to be a guest on the Morbid podcast. As a result of that, there's probably a bunch of people from the United States listening and being like, what the hell is going on here right now? For new listeners to the show, welcome. Keep Canada Weird is, do you want to explain it, Aaron?
I think they should listen to the episode in full, and then they can tell us what it is.
Okay, I like it. The short version is it's a weekly weird news roundup. But I like your idea better. How have you been? What's new with you? Let's talk a little bit about this.
Let's talk a lot about it because there's a lot going on in my life right now that I want to talk to you about. I first want to, for regular listeners, just address the elephant in the room. Yes, I do sound sick. Yes, I am at the tail end of a nasty sickness/cold thing that I had. Was it COVID? I don't know. I didn't bother testing. But I was staying inside regardless, because whether it's COVID or whether it's the plague or whether it's the common cold, I don't want to get anybody sick with anything that I have. So I just stayed inside. But also another extremely exciting thing is
more exciting than congestion.
Yes. I just swigged a bunch of Buckleys, so
there's
I'm
gonna
good
get
to
good.
go. Yeah. So anyway, tonight, for the very first time in my life, I tried the new Tim Hortons pizza.
Yes, you tried it tonight for the first time.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that we planned. I've been eating so much Tim Hortons pizza over the last week that I completely forgot it had anything to do with the show. Last week we talked about Tim Hortons launching pizza in Canada. I'll give my review after you. What did you think?
Well, I only tried the one flavor,
Okay.
so I was like, I'm going to use this as my supper. I'm recording tonight, so what flavor do I choose that I think would be best to review Tim Hortons pizza? So I went with the traditional pepperoni and cheese flavor because I know they do have other flavors.
I've
But
tried
I
them
went
all
with
twice.
I'm sure you've tried them all, yeah, because you're at Tim Hortons literally every day. So I tried it and I thought it was fine. It's a fine effort into the pizza market, I think. Tasted like fairly standard pepperoni and cheese pizza on a flatbread. It tasted a little microwaved, the texture of it. But yeah, I thought, for $8 or $9, taxes in, it's a decent quick meal.
Yeah, I thought the pizza was fine. It surprised me. I expected it to be worse, but here's my big thing with it. The first day I went to try the pizza, I did it through the drive-through, and I was never in a Tim Hortons drive-through so long. I think my complaint about it is that Tim Hortons just doesn't have any reason to incorporate pizza into what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the drive-through, and I was the only person in the drive-through tonight. So, and I ordered the pizza and it still took a long time. And I was the only person in the drive-thru. There's nobody ahead of me, nobody behind me. So there wasn't really a lot of orders that they were slinging at that one particular time. And I still waited, for a drive-through a fair amount of time. I think longer than I would wait at like Burger King or McDonald's for like a burger and fries.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. For any listeners out there, if you've had a chance to try Tim Hortons pizza, we'd love to hear about it. Go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact and send us your review in the form of a voicemail. We'd both love to hear it. With that said, let's hear from a listener who submitted a voicemail in relation to one of last week's stories. So one of the stories we've been tracking over the last, 4 months now is the story of the Holy Grail of hockey card finds, a massive collection of unopened packs of hockey cards from Wayne Gretzky's first year was unearthed in a Regina, Saskatchewan basement. It went up for auction. It eventually sold for just over $5 million Canadian. And then last week, we covered the Holy Grail of buyer's remorse, as the man who won that auction now seems to be trying to get out of it, is trying to sell it to Drake and Wayne Gretzky and all these other people. Erica sent us a voicemail weighing in on the story of the Holy Grail of buyer's remorse in relation to the Holy Grail of hockey cards finds. Here's what Erica has to say.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. This is Erica from the Vancouver Island Outpost, submitting a report on the OPG hockey card guy, and my report can be summarized as, man, does he ever suck. It's kind of a funny story for the rest of us to hear, somebody frivolously wealthy, badly behaving with their frivolous spending. But the unfunny side of the story is that there are probably quite a number of people who will come to some harm financially because of this guy's poor decision making. Anytime an item is bought at top tier auction, it sets the market value for anything else that qualifies as that item. So I don't know anything about hockey cards, but I work in an industry where a percentage of the commerce is determined by auctions that set the market value of the item. And through no fault of the family, no fault of anybody involved in the administration of that auction, anybody that stood to gain a fee or a cut for legitimate work they did to provide that transaction, he just screwed them all over. And he probably screwed over everybody that has a card from that era, because his bid probably set the market value, and now he has automatically dropped the market value on behalf of everybody else. And I just think that super duper sucks. And we're all getting a giggle out of this guy being weird, and I hope we all feel bad for the family. But like, it's genuinely something to think about, that there is auction etiquette, especially when you're dealing with high market value, highly sought after items. People behaving badly with their auction etiquette, it hurts people that are legitimately doing work to provide these opportunities for these auctions to happen. And he sucks. And I just hope that that's an aspect that he ends up considering, or that somebody gives him a shake that he considers. He sucks, and it sucks to suck. So that's my report. Signing off from the island. Take her easy.
Erica really understands auctions, auction etiquette, and the economy of auctions.
Yeah. Her knowledge of auctions does not suck.
Thank you, Erica, for opening our eyes to another aspect of it. I never thought of that. Things like collectible cards, the value is based on prior sales. This crazy sky high sale, who knows what it's going to do to the value going forward. And of course, a ton of people have wasted time dealing with this. Hopefully he comes through and pays the rest of his outstanding debt to that auction. I looked for updates on that story and didn't see anything. Hopefully we'll have more to report later.
You don't realize the ripple effect of when you're acting like a complete douchebag in your regular and normal life. You're just out there doing whatever the heck you want because you have an inheritance,
Yeah.
And you're bored and you're lonely, and, screw the rest of the world. We live in a society, folks. You can't just bid on hockey cards willy-nilly.
That's a good segue. Speaking of people that suck and people who make willy-nilly decisions that affect other people, I want to quickly highlight a sort of viral video that's going around Nova Scotia in relation to a parking lot dispute that took place outside of a Dollarama in the Spryfield area of Halifax, Nova Scotia. People who are going to be listening to this are going to hear the audio, so they won't necessarily get what's happening. So we need to explain it. So the best way to, I think I can do it, let's both try to describe the scene and then we'll play the video. The video is taken by a man in a vehicle who's filming outside of his driver's side window. He's trying to drive by the front of like the Dollarama, which is a Canadian dollar store, but the lane he is driving in is blocked by a vehicle that is illegally parked, and he must confront her. And the video starts with her reacting to him, probably saying something like, "You can't park there." Did I explain that well, or do you want to give it a shot?
No, I thought you explained it very well. But at its core, it's a woman has parked right in the middle of the parking lot where she's not supposed to be. Like, she's not in a space. She's just parked right out in the open wherever she wanted to park, right in front of the door, basically to Dollarama, and just pulled up, parked. This guy couldn't get through, and the two eyes met and started speaking to each other.
And magic comes as a result.
And love is in the air.
You just, there's all kinds of people around you. You touch my vehicle with your $12 car, I dare ya.
Look,
You're gonna scratch my car.
I'm gonna send it to police that you
Send
are not
it to the
supposed to.
police.
You're not supposed to
We're
park
in
here.
Spryfield, I don't care.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why are you fighting with me?
That's because this is not a parking job.
Oh.
You cannot park here.
Okay, you touch my vehicle,
Yeah, go ahead.
and I will just take a picture of your vehicle.
Go ahead. Don't worry. Take my license plate number 2.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Oh, Gabby! Listen, I don't care what you do, man. I got full coverage. You can't afford that.
Yeah, maybe in your dreams.
I find every good kind of hissy fit video like that involves like a standoff where people are filming and taking pictures of each other. This one, it seems like if you're listening to it, you may not completely get it, but she says like, "I'm going to take a picture of your car." She digs in her purse and it seems like she can't find her phone. So she's like, "Ah, Debbie," and I think she's yelling to like her friend that already went in Dollarama, probably embarrassed.
Yeah, she definitely, and Debbie, I guess, has her phone. I can only assume.
And I think Debbie probably wants nothing to do with the situation outside. But I think this woman is completely in the wrong. She's completely ridiculous. What an embarrassment. Look, we're in Spryfield. Who cares? I hated that.
I got full coverage.
Yeah, and to be like bragging about like, you can't afford that with your $12 car as you're going into like Dollarama. For people listening from the United States, it's like Dollar General. That's sort of, it's a dollar
store. Yeah.
So it's just not the kind of place where the wealthy are going to be going.
And she looks, it's not like she's swooped out of her vehicle in a big fur coat and expensive sunglasses and parada this and whatever, with looking gorgeous and wearing the most expensive clothing. She looks like she just crawled out of a dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like a complete bag of trash.
Yeah,
she just looks like scum of the earth.
And I can tell you that to brag about having full coverage, it's nothing to brag about, and it often just means you have like a leased or financed car. I would love to know the financials because I have a feeling she doesn't even own that car that she's so proud of having full coverage on. There was some kind of micro sort of racism in that video. I kind of thought it was going to go that way. I was when I first saw this video and I heard his accent, I thought like, oh God, it's going to be one of those. I'm actually pleasantly surprised it wasn't outright awful in that regard.
Yeah, you know who she reminds me of?
Who?
Physically. And I don't mind judging this woman physically because she's such an awful person. And I'm just like, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So you're leaving yourself completely and fairly wide open to be judged in every facet of your life.
Don't hold back, Aaron. Let it rip, bud. She's wide open.
This is a reference that not a lot of listeners are going to get, but some are. But do you remember the cartoon Captain Caveman?
No.
Okay.
And I'm a cartoon person. I do not remember that.
Yeah. That's who she looks like.
So for people who want to see the video, you can Google Captain Caveman and imagine it in your head based on that image. I also put a video up of it on my TikTok. You can see there my TikTok account where I set up a TikTok account planning to promote this show, but more often than that, I seem to just be finding funny videos and laughing about them. So if that's up your alley, check it out. But let's get into it. We are front loading this episode big time. We got to get into the stories because last week a lot of weird news played out. We're going to hear a story about a wrong body, and it's a dark story. Of course, we talked about Tim Hortons pizza, but we're going to be talking about Tim Hortons again because they stepped in it this week. And we got a couple other stories along the way. But where do you want to start with this? I'll let you decide.
Well, let's get the Tim Hortons one out of the way. We already talked about Tim's a bit. Let's get that out of the way.
Let's do it. Before we get to the Tim Hortons story, though, I have a voicemail. This is another exciting one because I like when listeners have a exciting moment in their lives. I like when they contact us right off the bat, and we have a voicemail from Sean in Boston. So this is interesting because Sean has something to say about a visit to Tim Hortons. Here it comes.
Hey guys, this is Sean from Boston. I am super stoked. I was up in Canada a couple of weeks ago and I entered a contest at Tim Hortons and I just got a notification. I won a $40,000 fishing boat. I'm inviting you, Aaron, and anybody else who wants to go fishing. It's Saturday. I'm driving up to Canada right now to pick it up, and barring any unforeseen incident, I should have a boat in my hands by Monday and we can go fishing. I can't wait to see you guys. Take care.
So the contest that Sean won is the annual Roll Up to Win contest at Tim Hortons, where years ago, before the pandemic, the rim of the coffee cup, you could actually roll it up and reveal a prize, and you'd win a free coffee or a donut or $1,000 cash or the grand prize of, I don't know, a car, or this year, a boat. So it seems like Sean was the lucky winner, but we'll come back to that. Let's first talk about our news story. So the Tim Hortons Roll Up to Rim campaign is a big deal. People across the country, they used to make a big deal of it. Not so much now, but people still are into it, I think. Ever since pandemic, it went digital, and that kind of took a lot of the fun out of it. Last year, Tim Hortons found themselves in a big mess because the app was revealing grand prizes when it shouldn't have, and we covered that on the show around this time last year. Well, let's just say that it seems to have happened again. On April 17th, Tim Hortons customers across the country and beyond, as we've learned, have received news from the company that they won a major prize in the recent Roll Up to Win campaign. But just like last year, Tim Hortons is claiming another mistake was made, and they don't plan to give 500,000 people the boat that they won. Here's the news story.
Oh, and I was like, no way.
Inboxes across the country filled up an emailed recap of what Tim's customers had won during the Roll Up the Rim promotion. But many were surprised when the email congratulated them for having won a $60,000 boat.
I phoned my mom, I phoned my husband, my kids, and friends, and I'm so, I want a boat, I want a boat.
Those emails went out Wednesday afternoon and were corrected a few hours later, but not before the would-be winners had told their friends and family about the prize.
Just from the range of emotion from being up here to down here within an hour was soul-crushing.
Tim Hortons blames technical errors and said customers who had won prizes would have been told immediately, not in a recap email. It's not clear how many people are affected, but many are still frustrated. Almost 2,000 customers have now joined a Facebook group complaining about their treatment and looking for recourse. Some say that $60,000 would have gone far.
I'm upset about it. It's a life-changing opportunity, prize to win, and I could have really either used the prize money or the boat.
It's not the first time that something like this has happened. The coffee chain made a similar mistake last year when it told some customers they had won a $10,000 prepaid credit card.
First things first, let's just get back to Sean. So I got that voicemail today, listened to it as I was putting this story together, and I do not know if he was being sarcastic or not. I don't know if he thought he won and sent that voicemail to us, or if he saw this in the news from down in the States and was telling us, being sarcastic or something. I reached out and I haven't heard back. Do you think that one of our listeners were affected by this?
I don't think he thought that. No.
Okay. I really hope not.
Yeah. And I think the people who listen to this show, they know that Tim Hortons is never good on their word to begin with. So
a listener of Keep Canada Weird would get that email and be like, yeah right.
Yeah, right.
Keep
I
your
want
boat.
anything from Tim Hortons. So
but these people who are affected by this, what it was like when you buy a coffee at Tim Hortons, you can open the app and like press a button, and a little thing happens, and it says like, yeah, you won this, or no, you didn't win anything. Apparently, what had happened is people would, who they didn't win anything or whatever. At the end of like the campaign, you get an email summarizing like what you won during the campaign. And I guess the mistake was that people were getting that summary email and it was saying you won the grand prize, whatever it was, $60,000 boat. And and that was what the error is. But for I've heard stories and seen stories on the news of people actually going to Tim Hortons with their phone being like, is this real? Did I win? And having the staff congratulate them, high five them, only for later, the next day to get an email being like, that was a mistake. We're not giving anyone anything. Tim Hortons has said we're sorry, but they didn't offer anybody anything.
Yeah, they didn't offer anything in kind of exchange for the issue that they had with this row up the rim game and the false wins. And a lawsuit I think is a little over the top. I don't think it's necessary. I think at the end of the day, this is a first world problem where you should just say to yourself, oh, I didn't win. Oh, that sucks, but I'm going to move on with the rest of my life. Well, I'm not going to go to court over this. I was told I had won a boat, and I was told I didn't win a boat. And then the sun still shines.
So your suggestion is like the recourse for these people should be just don't shop at Tim Hortons anymore. Go somewhere else, like they suck. There are a lot of people looking for more than that. A class action was actually filed seeking damages of $10,000 for each person who received that email, with the potential for other damages, so potentially more, but that's what they're seeking at this time. As I say that, I see you shaking your head, you disagree with it. Keep in mind that this is a huge company, and it isn't the first time. They've done something almost the exact same thing last year. So I feel like that has to come into play if they allow that to happen again. Like, I think something. But then again, they're not going to give
print. The fine print is there, and when you play the game, and it's a game.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they can't buy 500,000 people, $50,000 boats.
Yeah, and you're playing a game where it's already proven in the past that you're not guaranteed to be a winner, even if they say you're a winner. Mm-hmm. So the precedent has been set that you aren't guaranteed to be a winner, even if you get an email.
Mm-hmm. I'm just surprised they didn't say like, everyone we sent that to, here's a $20 gift card. Just offer them something, to not give them anything.
Yeah, I mean, 500,000 people, $20. Like the way Tim Hortons is looking at it, it's like it's probably going to cost us less to go through the minor amount of legal barriers and this probably won't even get to court. Mm-hmm. It's our lawyers on retainer will handle this no problem. Mm-hmm. This will be easier for us to just let them come at us with whatever attempt at a class action lawsuit that they are, and we'll stomp it out quicker than they were told that they didn't win a boat.
Yeah. I want to pivot to another similar story that played out last week. We've been dunking on Tim Hortons quite a bit over the last 5 or 10 minutes, but McDonald's, who is Tim Hortons' largest competitor here in Canada with their McCafe, I guess, brand of coffee, they are also not innocent, where they had some bad press and bad publicity last week due to consumer complaints. So up until about a year ago, McDonald's cups would have like a little like sticker on them. And every time you bought a McDonald's coffee, you could take that sticker off and put it on a card. And when you got like, the 10 stickers on a card, you'd be entitled to a free coffee. So a lot of people, it was just kind of like you saw them all over the place. You'd be in someone's car and they'd just have a bunch of those free coffee cards filled out, or a bunch of the stickers or whatever. They did away with that, and they moved instead from actual stickers on a cup to an app. And people are finding the complaints that were being aired through news coverage last week is how McDonald's is handling the redemption of those now, year-old cards, completed cards. Listen to this.
416 cards worth of what used to be free coffees that are zero value right now.
Vinny Del Luca of Toronto has been collecting McCafe reward cards for years. For every 7 coffees purchased, you would get enough stickers for a free one. But when Del Luca recently tried to redeem one of her cards, she was told the program was over.
They told me that they were no longer acceptable. They were expired. There's no expiry date on them.
We have a lot of these cards, like a lot.
Catherine Shook of Brooklyn says she, her husband, and 5 children have also been collecting McCafe reward cards for many years. They were also surprised to be told the 80 free coffee cards they have now have no value.
We know you purchased almost 600 coffees and you have these little cards, but too bad.
A spokesperson said, "We understand some guests were disappointed by the discontinuation of the on-cup McCafe Reward sticker program. Guests were given notice in May 2022 through a variety of communication channels. Completed sticker cards could be redeemed on or before December 31st, 2023. DeLuca feels she deserves something for the coffees she had hoped to redeem.
To be able to get my coffees that I should have been entitled to.
I actually forgot all about those completed cards until I saw this in the news last week. But I feel the same way about this as I do about the Tim Horton story, to be honest. I don't know why McDonald's would hold the line so hard. If someone shows up at one of those cards, just give them a coffee. It must cost them like cents to make a coffee. And there can't be that many of these completed cards floating around. Just like redeem them.
Well, apparently there are a lot of them. If you talk to this woman, like she's holding up in the video stacks and stacks of, like, when you go to, well, we'll say theoretically, when we go to strip clubs and we make it rain with cash on dancers,
yeah,
that she goes around with these peelings from McDonald's coffee cups and has just stacks of them and just makes it rain with free coffees.
Yeah,
just throwing them at people.
At some point, like in the middle of the campaign, of that promotion or whatever you want to call it, she should have been like, "Whoa, I have like 100 free coffee. I shouldn't buy any more coffee." It takes 7 of the stamps to fill one of those cards. She had like, a couple hundred, I think, of those cards full. At 7 coffee each. Why was she continuing to buy coffee? I feel like it's an addiction or an obsession.
Yeah, so she keeps, like, you buy the 7 coffees and then you redeem your free coffee.
You don't put it in storage and continue to buy coffee.
You don't hold on to it. It's not going to accumulate in value. It's like, it's not an investment. It's just it's a reward. And if you choose, I'm going to wait on this, the price of coffee is going to go up 500%, and I'm going to be a millionaire. Because I am an idiot. Watching her hold the stacks and they're all wrapped up in twist ties.
I just wanted the coffee that I'm entitled to. I don't feel bad for her. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her because of whatever inside her that compelled her to hoard free coffees to the point that she's now on the news complaining about the amount of expired free coffee cards she has. It's kind of silly.
She should put these coffee cards up for auction because I know a guy that might be interested in bidding on them. This is nonsense. Like, the fact that a news organization covered this just shows how desperate for content that they are. And this woman doesn't have a real problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So she has a problem, but it's not coffee. Her problem is much more deep rooted than that.
Let's move on, though. We have a story of people with a real problem that doesn't relate to free boats or having to continue to buy coffee. Let's get into the story of the wrong body. A family in Laval, Quebec, has been dealing with the sudden and unexpected death of a loved one. But after a bizarre incident last week, the whole thing got even worse. Faraj Jarjour died suddenly while vacationing in Cuba. To have his body returned to Canada cost his family about $10,000. But given how the whole thing ends up playing out, I think they're going to deserve way more than a refund of $10,000. Here's the story.
It's been a devastating month for the Jarjour family. During a vacation in Cuba, 68-year-old Faraj Jarjour suddenly died. They waited weeks for his body to be sent back to Montreal, and when they finally went to identify the body, it was the wrong man. Myriam Jarjour said the person looked nothing like her father. She says it was a Russian man at least 20 years younger with hair and tattoos. Her father was bald and had no tattoos.
I'm in a shock, I cry.
This is the last photo of Jarjour before he had a heart attack. Jarjour's 2 children say his body and paperwork were taken to a hospital in Havana, and they called the Canadian consulate. She says the employee said there's nothing he could do, and the family had to pay $10,000 to send the body back to Canada. His death certificate and passport arrived, but his body did not, and no one has any idea where it is.
It's body, it's human, not an animal or something like that.
The family has tried contacting the Canadian government multiple times.
Ils m'ont dit que c'est pas notre responsabilité, c'est la responsabilité des compagnies.
When they finally reached someone, she says the government said it's not their responsibility. It's the responsibility of Assisteur, a Cuban medical insurance company that delivered the body. However, Jarjour's daughter said she was never in contact with the company. The wrong body has been returned to its country, but the father and husband is still missing. The funeral home told CTV News it is in contact with the Cuban company. It says it's looking for the proper body. And in an email to CTV News, Global Affairs Canada says it is looking into the file.
Man, the show is Keep Canada Weird. That is a weird story, but it's heartbreaking. Could you, in the middle of losing, for one, some of the people we heard from in that article lost their father unexpectedly. We saw a crying woman who lost her husband unexpectedly. The idea of a funeral is all about, I wouldn't say closure, but it kind of comes into that. Allows you, it's a part of the grieving process to kind of take that away from the family and instead add this uncertainty of where the hell is he? And just drop them into this bureaucracy of you're dealing with Cuba and Canada and some random insurance company in Cuba to find your deceased loved one's missing body. This story is awful. I'm shocked that this can happen.
I'm not shocked that it can happen because when you're dealing with another country and something happens over there, whether it happens to you and you get sick and you have to try and navigate the complicated maze of what do you do, where do you go, who pays for it, and all of those things. And then also in this situation where somebody passes away suddenly, and then it's the responsibility of that other country to find and send you the body. Anything could happen. It doesn't shock me that they sent the wrong body, and it doesn't shock me at all that they're like, well, if that's not the body, we don't know where it is.
We'll look into it. It sounds almost like tracking missing luggage or something that we're going to see what we can.
Yeah, we've got a lot of missing bodies, and we don't know who they are, so we'll add them to the list.
It sort of reminds me a little bit of the story we talked about maybe a year or two ago about the graveyard whose staff went on strike and they had to close the graveyard for a long period of time. So a lot of loved ones weren't able to visit the graves of their deceased loved ones. It sort of reminds me of that, but it's way more sudden and traumatic. And we haven't even talked about the fact that a body did show up, and when they go to identify it, it's just clearly not their father. Just some other dead guy. That is a horror story. That's a horror story.
But I mean, a lot could have happened to him in the time that he left to go on his trip.
Oh, here we go.
In between then and when he died. So he might have gotten a bunch of tattoos. He might have done a lot of things that they don't know about.
Hair implants.
And then, yeah, he might have said, you know what? I'm taking a trip. I'm spending all my life savings. I'm having the best absolute possible time that I can. And then if I die, I die, you know?
Wouldn't that be a strange twist? Is like they can't find the body, so they start to look at his time in Cuba, and they realize it was all like tattoos, hair transplants, and
that's not our father. Actually, we know it doesn't look like him, but it is. Look at his phone.
If that is the case, I hope that gets solved, because I feel horrible for this family. The news clip opens with his wife just looking devastated with tears running down her face. I feel really bad for them, but I don't know what the recourse is. I would say if this was all like happening in Canada, I'd be like, sue that company, and but when you're talking about some health insurance company in Cuba, man.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, you're at their mercy. I think at this point they probably just want to get their dad back and have funeral arrangements flowing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's a horrible situation, and I feel bad for the family for sure.
Let's move on to another story. This one is about trouble targeting people that we may not necessarily feel bad for. Loblaws, I hate that name. Loblaws. They're a massive company that own grocery stores. So they're a huge player in food retail and grocery stores in Canada. We're in the middle of a food price crisis, I think is fair to call it. The price of food is just astronomical. And a lot of people, of course, are pointing at Loblaws and their management and all for not doing what's appropriate to make the price of food affordable. There's been a variety of protest type things that I've seen happening targeting Loblaws, but there's a new kind of technique or a new method of protesting Loblaw's pricing that has got quite a bit of attention, and it's a little bit shocking. May 12th of 2024 is being promoted by some as Steal from Loblaw's Day. And the movement, as ridiculous as it sounds, is actually gaining quite a bit of traction. Listen to this news story.
There's security at every superstore entrance and plexiglass barriers at most exits, all of it to prevent stealing. But despite the heightened security measures, posters circulating online are encouraging people to steal from the company next month.
It doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't understand what's the motive behind it. It's like horrible seeing something like that.
So far, online groups have promoted a boycott of Loblaw stores during the month of May, including Superstore here in the Maritimes. But they've condemned calls for theft, and so have many others.
I would say that's probably a step too far to advocate for theft and for stealing. I can certainly sympathize with the feeling that groceries are too expensive. I think everyone feels that right now.
But this isn't surprising to many.
Pre-internet, these moments would have real hard times getting any momentum, but because of the internet attracts people, and people with similar minds find each other.
Halifax police says they haven't heard anything from Loblaw and weren't aware of pictures of the poster circulating online. Experts say these extra security measures put in place to prevent thefts are only going to be costs that are passed down to shoppers, making things even more expensive.
You'll see a gradual price increase because of measures like this, but you won't see a quick one, knee-jerk kind of one, because that's what will get the ire of people up higher.
CTV News reached out to Loblaw for reaction, but they didn't respond to questions specific to the online threats, but did say they're committed to delivering and rebuilding the trust of grocers.
Aaron, do you plan on celebrating Steal from Loblaw's Day on May 12th?
I wasn't planning on it, but I am now.
Yeah, right. Do not do it. I think if anyone gets arrested for shoplifting on May 12th at Loblaws, I think they deserve whatever's going to happen to them.
Yeah, you never encourage anyone to break the law. That's for sure.
Well, I just think, and if you're going to, definitely don't like start a poster campaign in the lead up to it.
Yeah, it's drawn a lot of attention to the fact that you're about to break the law. Yeah.
You know, there's a better kind of protest that's happening against Loblaws concerning the price of food. And what people are doing, and I think this is a way better idea is people are going into Loblaws or grocery stores with sticky notes, and they're finding products that are cheaper at another retailer, and they write that on a sticky note and stick it to like the price of the product. Specifically Dollarama, which is again like our dollar store, the Canada's version of Dollar General or whatever. They'll go to, I don't know, like the cereal aisle, and they'll find like Fruit Loops that are $5, and they'll write this is $2 at Dollarama and just stick it on, next to the price tag. And I think if people went out en masse and did that, I like that better. I think stealing from them, just like it said in that article, all they're going to do is they're just going to take whatever money they lost from theft and raise their prices to make up for that, or hire more security and raise the price of their food to cover the cost of their enhanced security. It's like you can't win. Like if people want to get them, just don't shop there.
Yeah, that's the ultimate way.
The only thing. It's like they can't raise their prices because they're not selling enough, because then they'll be priced higher than other places. If people boycotted them and actually didn't go there, and there's cheaper places to buy food. I find like it's crazy now. I find, I'm finding now with my grocery shopping, I'm going to multiple places to, cover my bases and get better deals than just going to the grocery store and paying top dollar for everything.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Although I don't have the energy for that. Like to go to different places and look at flyers and see how much lettuce is across the street versus down the road. I can't.
Yeah.
I pick a spot, I go there, and I just pay what they tell me to pay. I'm a bit of a sheep that way.
Another thing, like this article didn't mention it at all, but something that's got a lot of people unhappy with Loblaws is here in Atlantic Canada, specifically here in Halifax, they've installed plexiglass walls within the store all around the checkout area. So you walk in the store and it's kind of open and you go in and do your thing. But the part of the store that you go through the checkouts and you leave from, the whole thing is like encased in plexiglass, clear plexiglass, which looks like if you watch hockey, it looks like kind of the boards of a hockey rink or whatever. And they've installed them to avoid shoplifting. But, just like, as I said with Steal from Loblaw's day, whatever the cost of installing that plexiglass stuff is, they just divided that over the cost of the food. Like, they're not losing money.
But that plexiglass, they probably had that hanging around from the pandemic.
Oh, that's a good
It was
point.
probably sitting out back, and they're like, well, we've got all that plexiglass. Why don't we just hang that up and maybe that'll do something?
Do you remember, that's one part of the pandemic I certainly don't miss, is when you're trying to like order something or communicate with someone and there's just like the sheet of glass and you're like shouting. You have a mask on and there's glass.
I still love it. When I still see them hanging up in certain places, I feel great. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not have you spit on me.
Yeah, I get that. It's just always, I'm hard of hearing to an extent, and it always bothers me.
Oh, yeah, you're old man airport. Or no, I'm old man airport. You're old man Jordan.
Old man Bonaparte.
Yeah. But I don't know. My favorite part of that story is the expert that they interviewed. And he knows a lot about the internet. Did you notice that? And
yeah, he's like, before the internet, these movements wouldn't, they couldn't really gain.
And now with the internet, people can connect with each other. And it's not for anything else. No,
yeah.
It's just for connecting with everybody connects, and it's the internet. It's the information superhighway, if that's an easier way for you to understand.
He was a fan of the internet. But for all the listeners of Keep Canada Weird, please don't get yourself arrested on May 12th. You can look at a protest like this and laugh, but please don't take part. If you're going to protest Loblaws, do so by not shopping there or bring sticky notes in and write where things are cheaper. I think that's a creative and effective way to do it.
Yeah, or just shop across the street. Just don't go there.
Yeah. Good advice. Before we wrap it up, and we're about at the end of this, I want to play another voicemail. A listener named Corey, I sent him some Wonder Bars a while back. So he's calling to discuss the Wonder Bars and tell us why he listens to Keep Canada Weird from abroad. Here's Corey.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron, this is Corey, your favorite roofer over here in Michigan. I greatly appreciate the Wonder Bars that you sent me. They were amazing. Of course, I made them laugh. I had to restrict my intake and spread them out over some time. There is a little controversy in my household now, though. It is a toss-up between the Mr. Big and the Wonder Bar. I still say the Wonder Bar is my favorite. That's hands down the best one. But my girlfriend Heather insists it's the Mr. Big bars. So, and then I know you were doing an episode where you were asking international callers to call in and say why they listen to your show. I love you guys' delivery. I love Aaron's take, which is sometimes out there, and I know he's doing it for spite, just to get people riled up who take it super serious. And I'm sure he's going to say, I don't do that. I am super serious. Sure. I am fluent in sarcasm. But no, I appreciate everything you guys do, keeping us entertained over here in the United States, and I'm sure other people abroad are just as thankful. So keep it weird, no matter where you live. Thanks, guys.
Corey is the one listener that gets your sense of humor, Aaron.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all I need.
Mm-hmm.
He's my Mr. Big.
Corey can tell Heather that Wonder Bar is far superior. The only good thing about a Mr. Big is in the name. It's big. It's a larger bar than other bars, so people buy it because it's quantity over quality. A Wonder Bar is a delicious bar, and that's why I sent him that. If Mr. Big was on the level of Wonder Bar, I would have sent him a Mr. Big.
I think the beautiful thing about candy bars is that we don't all have to like the same candy bar. I can have two different candy bars in front of me, and I love the Mr. Big and you love the Wonder Bar, and that's okay. We all are different human beings with complicated emotions and very sensitive taste buds. And I think that when I taste a Wonder Bar, I really enjoy it, but I enjoy a Mr. Big as well, and I would not get offended if a loved one or a friend were to prefer Mr. Big bars. I think that's fine and wonderful, and it's why it's the tapestry of humanity that we live in on Earth here.
Wow.
That allows us to have these various, eclectic, and beautiful opinions and tastes and wonderful things and nice stuff.
Wow. It's so progressive of you. For listeners of the show, you can send voicemails to us at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. If you hear your voicemail aired on the show, email me and let me know your mailing address, and I will send you something as a thank you. It could be stickers, it could be temporary tattoos, it could be Wonder Bars, it could be Mr. Big Bars.
It could be saran wrapped slices of Tim Hortons pizza.
Actually, I like the idea. It could be.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, I think we've done our work here. We found a collection of weird but important Canadian stories over the past week. We've highlighted them, and we're not going to stop here. We're already getting to work on next week's episode, so let's wrap this up. Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
J-Dog, until next time.
Don't call me that.
J-Boy. J-Man.
Keep going.
Jordanio. Until next time.
Until next time, second guess anything Tim Horton says or rewards you. Don't hold on to free coffees. Just use the damn thing. Live your life. And the best way to defend your dollar is by be smart with where and how you spend it.
Yes. And Jordan, until next time, the thing about having a different opinion than somebody else is that's okay. Like you learn from a young age that growing up in a society like ours, it can be challenging to navigate the cascade of emotions that your friends and family and your schoolmates have, and everybody likes different things, and everybody wants different things out of life. Some people want Mr. Big bars, some people want Wonder Bars, some people don't want any bars, some people want cold bars, some people want hot bars, some people want big things, some people want little things. Like it's okay to want both or want none or want some. It's part of growing up. It's part of nature.
In animals, they truly have found in different scientific communities and studies that they've done on animals that animals too like different things. Cats like wet food and dogs.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird, but let us also call out to you for even greater support in this. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, we want to hear about it. And if you have any thoughts, opinions, theories, or feedback on any of the stories we discussed tonight, we want to hear about that as well. The best way to reach us is via voice memo sent at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. We hope to hear from you. Now, before we part here, let me end with some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who provides the intro and outro voiceovers for this series. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now, on the topic of support, I want to thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed. Eugene, Melissa, and Bryce, thank you for going premium. And for anyone else out there who'd like to support the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that money funds the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed also gives you the episodes 2 days early, it'll get them to you ad-free, and allow you access to a full back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by simply sharing this episode on social media and letting all your like-minded friends know what we're doing here. Your support in growing this is very much appreciated. Now, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
Yes. I just swigged a bunch of Buckleys, so
this is
I'm
gonna
good
get
to
good.
go. Yeah.